This is Algebra 1, Lesson 11b, Order of Operations. It includes examples 11.1, 11.2, and 11.3. Let's work this problem. 4 plus 3 is 7, and 7 times 2 is 14. Now, some of you may be saying, wait a second, there's another way to do this problem. Let's try it a different way. Instead of doing this addition first and then the multiplication, let's do the multiplication first. Hold on. We get two different answers. So how is that? Well, since you can get two different answers, mathematicians had to come up with rules. Have you ever played a game and you have rules and you and your friends have to agree on those rules? I can think of a couple of examples for my family. One of them is Uno. It seems like when we play Uno with other families, my boys would always say, wait, we don't play it that way. We don't use those rules, okay? Or there's another one. Have you played this game out with your friends? Capture the flag. My boys would say, wait, that's not the same rules that our family uses. You have to agree upon the rules if you're going to be able to enjoy the game. Well, mathematicians had to agree on the rules. You know how in America we drive on the right side of the road, but if you go over to Europe, they're going to be driving on the left-hand side of the road? Well, neither one of them is more correct than the other. It's not like people who drive on the right side are better than people who drive on the left or something. But in that country, you have to agree on it to maintain order, right? So we have to agree on an order, and that's what this is. Order of operations. You know that operations are add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And we need to agree on the order that we're going to do them, okay? And here's the order that we need to do. We need to make sure that we do multiplications before we do our additions and subtractions, okay? So that's what you're learning in this lesson. Now, they're going to add more steps to order of operations in future lessons, and you may have already learned that in your previous courses. But this lesson is just going to make sure you know you have to do the multiplications first. So that would mean this one, although it's a very nice little procedure, is incorrect. We've decided we're going to do all multiplications first, and that's what mathematicians do. So this answer would be correct. This answer would be incorrect. Okay, so using that, let's evaluate this expression. We're going to go through and just do the multiplications first, and I'm going to underline them as I go. Okay, so I'm going to do this multiplication, and I get 12. And I'm just going to keep copying things down until I come to a multiplication. And then, oh, there's one. Let's go ahead and do that. And then I'll keep copying things down until, oh, there's one. And I'm going to copy that down. Now I can use what I've learned before, and that's the algebraic addition. I can combine these together. So I'm going to have 12 plus 5, which is 17. And then I'll take all the rest of these, and then I'll do this. And then I'll do this. And then we'll do here. And we can do that. 0 plus 6 is just going to be 6, and 6 minus 8 is negative 2. Okay, I showed all of the steps so that you can see them. But the important part of this lesson is we need to do the multiplications first. Okay, so let's go down to example 11.1. 11.1, we've got a multiplication here. We can do that. And here's another multiplication. They're using a dot here to show multiply, but you can also use parentheses. If a number is right up against parentheses, we know that's a multiplication. So let's do that. This is 12. Bring down all the other stuff. And then this is negative 3 times 5, which is going to be negative 15. Now I can just combine, add and subtract from left to right. That's going to be 14 plus negative 15. I'm adding things that have different signs, so I subtract them, and I take the sign of the one that has the largest absolute value, which is 15, so it's going to be negative. Let's look at 11-2. Here we have a multiplication, and then we have subtraction, and then addition, and then a multiplication. So let's do the multiplications, and then copy everything else we see down, and then add and subtract from left to right. Here I have negative 10 take away 3. You can think of this on a number line. I start at the origin at 0. I go to the left 10, and then I go to the left 3 more. And you'll realize you're at, or I won't say it, well, you can think of it this way. I'm going to use a different color. Remember, we could separate these like this and insert a plus sign in between them. Remember us talking about doing it that way? And that'd be negative 10 plus negative 3, which is negative 13. You get the same answer you got on the number line, right? Or you can think of subtraction as the same as adding the opposite. You'll get the same answer either way. Here you're adding things that have different signs, so you subtract their absolute values and get 5, and you keep the sign of the one that had the largest absolute value. So the answer is positive 5. 11-3, we're going to look for our multiplications. Here's one, and here's one. So let's do those. 4 times 3 is 12. Copy down the minus. 2 times 5 is 10. Copy down the plus 6 and a minus. 5 times 2 is 10. Now we go from left to right. 12 minus 2, or 12 minus 10 is 2. And 2 plus 6 is 8. And 8 minus 10 is negative 2.